Hello, welcome back, everybody. This is the first time we've seen the boardroom this filled in a long, long time. So with that, I would like to welcome everyone back to the Franklin-McKinley School District. We're going to move on to item 3.01, Land Acknowledgement Statement and FMSD Mission Statement. We acknowledge that the Franklin-McKinley School District and our schools are located in the Muwekma Ohlone Nation, the sovereign nation and the original people of the skies, land, and waters where we learn and work. The Muwekma Ohlone people are the stewards of these lands and of the teaching and learning that comes from and responds to the needs of the land and people who share it. May our daily lives and work, learning, teaching, and community engagement support the evolving vision of the Muwekma Ohlone for the community and these lands. Now on to the FMSD mission statement. The Franklin-McKinley School District will ensure all 8th grade student graduates have the skills and knowledge to be ready for a college preparatory curriculum in high school. They all will have the ability to pursue a program preparing them for university and/or careers and lifelong learning. So now we'll move on to item 3.02, flag salute by our very own Franklin School. Please proceed. It's okay. No worries. I know I confused them a little bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please stand and remove your hats for the presentation of the colors? Color guard, advance. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Prepare to post the colors. Post the colors. Color guard dismissed. Thank you. Please be seated. Hello, my name is Thomas. I'm a sixth grader at Franklin-McKinley. And the people who are with me are
Hello, I'm Tina Nguyen, and I'm in sixth grade and in Franklin Elementary School.
I'm Tina Lee from sixth grade and from Franklin McKinley Elementary School.
My name is Teddy Garcia. I am in sixth grade at Franklin-McKinley Elementary School.
Hello, my name is Ethan Nguyen. I'm in sixth grade and I'm in Franklin Elementary.
Let's give another round of applause to our Franklin School. Thank you again to Franklin School for performing the flag salute. We will now move on to item 3.03, approve, disapprove additions to the agenda. Board members? Seeing none, we'll move on to 3.04, approve, disapprove order of the agenda. Seeing none, we'll move on to item 3.05, report of action taken in closed session. Superintendent Cruz?
Yes, the board, 4 in favor and 1 abstention, approved the closed session minutes for March 8th, 2022. There are no other actions to report.
Thank you, Superintendent Cruz. We'll now move on to item 4, oral communications. Members of the public may address the board on any issue within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board or agenda items. Members of the public may also address the board on consent items before the board's consideration of the items. In accordance with Board Bylaw 9323, individual remarks will be limited to 3 minutes each unless otherwise stipulated. No action can be taken on any agenda items at this time. Questions may be referred to the administration or put on a future agenda. So moving on to 4.01, oral communications. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to the agenda items at this time? No, seeing none. Okay. Sounds good to me. We'll move on to item 5, recognitions, which we are all here for. 5.01, global learner student recognition. And Annette?
And so what I'll ask is if the board could join me up in the front, and students, we are all sort of now used to the fist pump as a way to congratulate you. So when you come up here, please do. But before we get started, I do want to thank the families for being out here today. As Board President Tran said, one of the first times in almost 2 years that we've had this number of individuals here in the boardroom. And I know it's been a tough 2 years, but hopefully we're now getting back to some of the normal things that we normally do, which is celebrate our students. And so families and students, congratulations. You should be very, very proud of the success that you've been showing. And here we are to recognize that in front of your peers, in front of your staff. And so congratulations. So students, when I call your name, come up and I'll give you the first fist pump, and then you'll go down the line and you'll get your certificate and your medal. And so I'm going to go down the list of schools. So again, congratulations for your achievements tonight. So we're going to start off with Bridges Academy, and I'd like to welcome Christopher Amaya. From College Connection Academy, Kimberly Cepeda Chavez. From Captain Jason Dahl, Evelyn Nguyen. From Franklin, Jesus Chavez. From Hellier, Hugo Achundia Medina. From Kennedy, Cesar Gonzalez Campos. From Daniel Aron, Adriana Figueroa. From Los Árboles, Jacqueline Hernández. From McKinley, Ángeles Sánchez Oviedo. From Meadows, Giancarlo Camacho. From Ramblewood, George Henshaw. From Santee, Luis Gonzalez Mendez. From Shirakawa, Malena Chow. From Stonegate, Jeremiah Booth. From Silverdale, Abdiel Salcedo. And from Windmill Springs, Ruby Vergara. Let's give one big round of applause to all our global learner recipients today. As soon as we're done with this, yeah. All right, we also get the opportunity today to recognize staff for exemplifying the district's core values of student focus, partnership, integrity, respect, innovation, and teamwork. So I will start with the recipient of the Student Focus Award from Meadows, Gabriela Gonzalez. Getting backed up over there. In the category of the core value of a partnership from Windmill Springs, Trina Nguyen. Under the core value of integrity from Bridges Academy, Paul Ward. Okay. We'll make sure he gets his award. Under the core value of respect from Santee Elementary, Alberto Cabrera. Under the core value of innovation from Franklin Elementary, Minera Barrios. And last but not least, under the core value of teamwork, from the district office, Vanessa Fonseca. So again, let's give our recipients of the Spirit Award another big round of applause. Board President, is it okay if we take about a 5-minute break and allow people to take pictures? And all right, thank you. Some of them wanted a picture.
Just want to get one of these two. I know. Even before the pandemic. Remember? Mhm. Yeah, I think only George needs it.
So hard to speak with this mask on.
Well, Juan, if you just remove the mask mandate. Okay. That was fun. It's nice seeing all the faces here in one room. But now we must get back to business. So we will go to item 6.01, the resolution number 22-16, a resolution prescribing the terms and authorizing the sale and issuance of refunding bonds of and related actions. Jason?
Yes, the presentation that's up on the board right now is for the next. FMSD staff and consultants are bringing forward resolution 2022-16 that will allow the district to take advantage of historically low interest rates and refund currently outstanding general obligation bonds and potentially save taxpayers approximately $1 million net of issuance costs. Refunding bonds will be sold by way of a negotiated sale or a private placement to refund the 2010 Series B bonds and the 2010 Series D bonds. All acts, conditions, and things required by law to be done for refunding will be performed in strict conformity with the laws authorizing the issuance of general obligation refunding bonds. John Isom from Isom Advisors providing a short presentation and analysis on the potential savings of refunding these bonds. He also will have probably some preliminary good news to share with the board tonight. We also have Stacy Toledo from Parker and Covert, who are part of our bound council team, and answering questions relating to the resolution language. And without further ado, I will turn it over to John Isom, who is connecting via Zoom.
Good evening, members of the board, district administration, community members, and folks joining us from Zoom. My name is John Isom. I've been working with the district as financial advisor for close to a decade now, and have taken the role of fiduciary, which is bring things to you that are in your financial interests. Sometimes that involves selling new money bonds, the proceeds of which you guys have spent on facility and school and classroom improvements, and at other times refunding opportunities as you have before you this evening. So I've got a brief presentation that I'm going to take you through. Certainly want to make sure you have all the answers to any questions that you might have. I saw some familiar faces even on Zoom, and so I know some of you are quite familiar with this refunding process, which this district has done on multiple occasions, most recently in 2019. But let's go to the first slide here and talk about the next slide, sorry, and talk about the specifics. So specifically, what we're looking to do here is refund bonds that were sold in 2012 and in 2014. So bonds were sold, back in the day, 15 and about $5 million respectively. Those bonds are outstanding. They have interest rates associated with them that are fixed. And the opportunity is to say, hey, I think we can swap out those high interest rates for low interest rates. And the result is that you have lower tax payments. And that's how we're able to save taxpayers money through a refunding like this. A couple of specific things, as Jason mentioned, we're looking at over $1 million in savings, which is fantastic. And we'll get into a little bit about some of the technicalities. I do want to point out the last bullet point on this particular slide is that this does not add any years to the original term. In fact, by law, it cannot. So for those of you that are familiar with a home mortgage refi, where you're able to refund your mortgage and you find a different bank and you lower your payments, sometimes that may not be financially the most efficient. Certainly it lowers your payments from a cash flow perspective, but sometimes you may pay more than you otherwise would have had you not done the home mortgage refi. Unlike that, we have to have the same terms or shorter. So not only does it improve our cash flow, meaning we're going to have lower taxes, but it also makes it what's considered to be a financially efficient refunding. Let's go to the next slide. The reason for this is straightforward. Anyone who has been alive knows that that COVID has done a lot of things, and the only good thing that it has done is provide the lowest interest rates in history. So this table here simply shows us interest rates over the last 20 plus years, and you can see in red what's an average interest rate over those 20 years, which is just about 4%. You can see where we are down below in green, kind of the green dotted at 2.41%. And if you look all the way over to just kind of the bottom right-hand corner, you can see that's COVID, right? Those are the COVID interest rates where we've just been at these historically low rates. So fantastic time to be in the market. And again, this is the reason that we're talking about this evening is this low interest rate environment means we can find buyers of old bonds who are willing to buy them at much lower interest rates. And let's look at the next slide, and I think it'll give you an idea. This one just is a sidebar, just shows that there are different ways to take the benefit. There's level savings where you're literally giving a kind of a haircut of each of the remaining years of the bond program. Number two, you could defer the savings, meaning provide zero benefit in the early years, but you're just chopping off a year or two at the end, or upfront savings where you provide maybe one or two really good years of tax relief, but then it goes back up. I'd say 95% of the school districts do what we're recommending here in this case, which is the level savings option. That way, you're providing immediate benefit to the immediate taxpayers, but you're also providing a long-term benefit overall. Let's look at the next slide. So this is what I had alluded to earlier. When we're looking at those outstanding bonds, so the 2012 rates here that you see here are represented in yellow, and you see that we're at 2.74% to 4.13%. So if as a board you say, we don't want to do the refunding, then we'll continue to pay on those higher interest rates. But based on what we're seeing now, there's a belief that we can get interest rates in red. And that's the today's super low interest rate environment. And it's that delta, that spread between the red and the yellow that provides us some financial savings. Next slide. So as I said earlier, right, there's two bonds that we're refunding. There's the 2012s and the 2014s. This gives you that same idea of 2014 interest rates. Again, in yellow, those are what's currently on the books. We do nothing, that's what we're living with, or we refund these rates and we get much lower, and that's what is represented in red. Next slide. So this is how it would look, in a calculation when we're comparing existing debt service, which is the payments that remain, and what might be our new debt service, as represented in that second column from the right, and then the far right shows the combined savings. So again, do nothing. We have about $9.57 million of payments remaining through 2036. Do something, refund these, and we're able to swap out those higher payments for the lower payments, which would total about 8.75 for about 800,000 in total savings. Now, I want to point something out real quick here, and that's the second bullet point on this page. And that's a term called net present value. What that is, it's a calculation to determine what's the total true value or the present value benefit of doing one of these refundings. And in our industry, there's kind of a benchmark of sorts, a minimum floor that the Government Finance Officers Association puts forth, the GFOA. They say, hey, don't do this, unless you can at least save 3%. It just doesn't make sense. Now, there are exceptions to all rules, as you can imagine. That's not something we have to worry about here because our net present value is about 11%. So almost 4 times the minimum recommendation. And that's important, I think, to note, because while it's important to save money and it's great to say, hey, look at $1 million, it's also important to note that this is a financially efficient refunding. Let's look at the next slide. Same exercise, different bonds. Again, smaller bonds as far as what's outstanding here on the 2014, but the same exercise. Savings are on the far right-hand side, about $250,000. And the industry net present value in this instance is about 9.2% or a little bit more than 3%, or about 3 times the 3% minimum GFOA standard. Next slide. Okay, I think that we might have a last slide, which is our timeline or next steps here. So let's take you through this. And before I get into the nitty-gritty, I do want to bring something up that is a little bit different from how we've done things historically. Just by way of broad brush, there's essentially 2 ways a district can sell bonds. One is known as a public offering, and the other is a private placement. A public offering, as it kind of implies, is something where you're going to go to an underwriter. That underwriter is going to buy your bonds, or at least line up investors to buy your bonds. Maybe they buy the outstanding balance, and it's a pretty big pool of particular investors who are willing to buy it. A private placement sale, as it implies, is kind of private in nature, in that you go to specific banks. There's about a dozen of them or so out there, and you say, hey, here are some unique opportunities here. I've got these bonds for this type of a credit for this many years outstanding. What do you think? Would you be willing to put in a bid here? And there's a big market for this. And in particularly right now, with all of the volatility, geopolitical issues with Russia and the Ukraine, inflation issues, there's a lot of uncertainty. And we're faced right now with a scenario where there's a pretty darn good market for these private placement sales. You might ask yourself, well, why haven't we done private placement sales in the past, John? The primary reason is that oftentimes there are restrictions on what these banks are willing to buy. They don't like to buy, 25 or 30 years worth of bonds. And anytime we're selling new money bonds, that's what we're selling, right? Longer than what they want to buy. Sometimes the bonds are too big. Sometimes the bonds are too small. Other times it's just a calculation where we compare a public offering and a private placement. And I'll share with you some numbers before I just close on this timeline here. So based on today's interest rates and our outreach to particular private placement banks, what we've found is that a private placement sale today, and this is something that we would actually be able to lock in, is about $1.38 million. So nearly $1.4 million in savings. And when we try to evaluate what it would be on a public offering, it's about $827,000. So nearly $500,000, more than $500,000 in difference between the public offering option and the private placement option. Okay, so as it ties all to this timeline, we've talked about this refunding opportunity. Bond Council's prepared a lot of different documentations, et cetera, et cetera. We got to the point of, hey, let's have a conference call, as we always do with the rating agencies, and then stop. Let's explore private placement based on what we've seen. Oh, private placement makes a lot of sense. And so here we are now with March board meeting, and you guys have the opportunity to approve this resolution that would provide us the ability to do this sale as a private placement. And it would also essentially allow us to lock in these particular rates. The difference between private placement and public offering, one other notable difference, is that there's a lot less work that goes into a private placement, and you do have the ability to lock in the rates. as opposed to a public offering where you've got to go and you got to wait a few weeks and then you lock it in on the day of the pricing, and then 2 weeks later it closes. So as it relates to this particular timeline, if the board approves the resolution as presented, we would have the district sign the term sheet and lock in the rates in the next couple of days. And then a few weeks from now, we would be able to finalize the financing with closing legal documents, and then the financing would be closed. Now, does the district, the district doesn't get any money per se, because the refunding benefit all goes to district property taxpayers, and it goes to them in the form of lower property taxes. So just as we did in 2019, where I think it was about a $9 million refunding, what that does is it essentially just lowers future taxes for district property owners. And so that's in essence what we're looking to do here. So that kind of concludes my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions. I think as Jason mentioned, we've got Stacy Toledo online from Bond Counsel. I think we have a representative from the underwriter and placement agent as well. But any questions?
Board members, do you have any questions? Mr. Isom? I do have one question. With the volatility of the interest rate going up due to inflation, so you may have heard like the Fed's going to increase the interest rate. Does that make our bonds more valuable if we decide to do this a little bit later?
No, it's the contrary, right? As interest rates rise, those if we could go back 3 or 4 slides just to the chart, the graph rather, the line graph. There we go. Thank you. So picture this in a rising interest rate environment, and that particular red line goes up, right? And if it goes up high enough, it'll be literally on top of the yellow. And if it goes up even higher, it'll be higher than the yellow, in which case we would never do the refunding because you can't generate any savings. So the preference is to get things while interest rates are low, where essentially we have the widest differentiation between the yellow and the red. So with rising interest rates, and that's the other big advantage of the private placement, is there's these banks, they have all this money because they have bonds that they've owned for years and years and years that are being redeemed, right? It's like, okay, these bonds are maturing. Here's all your money. Thanks for loaning the money. And so the banks have all this cash that they need to put to work, and they don't have the luxury of these insurance companies or other, hedge funds or otherwise. And so it's really kind of a unique phenomenon, to be honest with you, as far as this window where private placement is so far superior right now to the public market right now.
Right. Thank you so much for explaining that to me.
Yeah.
And it seems like the prime time to do it then, for sure.
Really is.
Okay, so board members, if there's no more discussion now, this is a action item. So we will need a motion.
Move to approve item 6.01, resolution 2022-16.
Second.
Item 6.01 has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And that is unanimous. Thank you so much. Sorry, son.
You're very welcome. I wanted to say one last thing is, again, kudos to the district, to you, to your superintendent, to your financing team, your CBO, everybody, because this is one of those things that you do because it's the right thing, but like the school district really doesn't get any benefit out of this, right? This is purely for your taxpayers. Not a penny goes to your district, and yet your staff members have put in, a fair amount of time to this. So we do want to make sure that your community knows this, and at the conclusion of this successful refunding, we'll be putting together a press release, and I would strongly encourage you guys to disseminate it to the respective parties so that you do at least get, the proverbial pat on the back for the efforts that you guys are putting forth here.
100%. I agree with that. And thank you so much, Mr. Isom, because that segues us into our next presentation, which is 6.02, Voller Strategic Advisors for Public Relations Consulting Presentation. Again, thank you, Mr. Isom.
You bet. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.
So I'd like to invite Perla Rodriguez from Valair. We've been working with Valair for quite a while now. And certainly without a director of community relations, they've been critical in the ability for this district to continue to be out in the community and have the community to get to know the great things that are happening within our district. And I'll just say we would not be able to do what we do and being out promoting ourselves without their help. And so she's here to give us a little bit of an insight of what we've been out doing and sort of the value of the different things that we are engaged in. So I'll let you take it over.
Thank you so much, Superintendent Cruz. Good evening, everyone. I too share in the joy in having seen all the students that were here tonight. It's such a different picture of what we've lived the last couple of years. Year after year, I come here with a presentation and I show you all the different things that we do, and I give you numbers and values. But today I also want to tell a story, and that is one of high stakes communication. This pandemic has truly challenged us in so many different ways. I know that in the classroom to be true. I know that within your district office, but it's been such a critical time for our parents and our community to hear from your school district, to get the latest information on COVID and what's been happening. And it's been a journey. It's been a true ride, I have to say. So I'm going to tell you a little bit today about some of the key themes, COVID being one, of course, and a few other areas. And let's see if I can move this along. Okay, here we go. I would like to tell you a little bit about who we are and what we do, especially for you, Trustee Martinez, who you haven't heard me every year. I would definitely like to tell you just a little bit more about us. We'll talk about those key areas of impact, and then I'll show you a short video, a very short, brief reel that captures some of the highlights, because that's always fun. I mean, we're a communications firm. So with that, who are we? Our mission is to provide school districts with the communications infrastructure that will help educators focus on the work that they were meant to do, which is in the classroom, inspiring students and preparing them for a bright future. We are an award-winning communications firm, and let's see, sorry, here we go. With 9-time Emmy Award-winning journalist Beatriz Ferrari. Our team has won multiple Telly Awards, Markham Awards, and Davy Awards. I'm very proud of the team that we have across a variety of communications disciplines. We're passionate about education because we believe it is truly transformative. I myself am first generation, first to go to college, first in my family to do pretty much most things. And it wouldn't be possible without an education and a public education in my case. We're also a 100% Latina owned and certified business, something that we're also quite proud of. Behind me are a list of all of our various services. This is an abbreviated version, but we certainly work in the area of communications strategy and support, providing support to school districts 365 days a year. While you're on vacation, while people are sick, no matter what's happening, our team is working to make sure that your communication needs are met. We do a fair amount of parent and community communications in English, in Spanish, and Vietnamese for Franklin-McKinley. We spend a vast majority also of our resources on district branding and marketing, which is critically important as you work so hard to retain and recruit new students. Video production is a big part of what we do. Years ago, when I probably came here the first time, we didn't even do video production, but as an organization, we continue to evolve and advance also with the times. And today, video is just a critical part of what we do. Social media is something that we do, media relations, and crisis management. So those are our core areas of services. I should mention that I meet with Superintendent Cruz every single week. We talk about the priorities of the district, what are burning issues, where more attention is needed, where we need to focus on the next communication. That is how we develop our work plan, and we do so every week. So I want you to understand that we are an integrated part of the team. We also engage with cabinet members like Jason, who has critical information about lots of different projects, budget issues, and we really work to get all the information that we can from key leaders within your organization. In addition to that, I'll mention that our approach is customized. Every school district is different, and you have different priorities, and your communities are different. So our planning and our discussions every week really help us customize what we do and provide you the best value. So with that, let's talk about COVID, the topic of the century. Never have the stakes been higher for our communications work. I think that, as you had new protocols to deal with, new rules being rolled out by the state of California, you had to bring your parents on board. You had to bring your teachers and staff on board and your entire community. And so we've spent so much time this past year in articulating in a way that's very concise and effective, lots of COVID safety information, encouraging people to get tested, encouraging people to get vaccinated, providing resources to families. As we all recall, there was a time where people were out of work and were dealing with the devastation on the economy. And so the school district really rose to the occasion to make a lot of resources available. And much of our work in communication during that time was focused on that. And so we're really proud of the work that's been done. I think that what's very unique about Franklin-McKinley is that we communicate in 3 languages, and we really work to engage these important sectors of the community. In terms of the COVID work, we did PSAs, encouraging people in fun and interesting ways to consider the safety information that was out there, encouraging people to wear masks. But more than anything, I believe what we did was build trust and tell parents, we have the facts, here's the best information we have available, and come along with us, come back to school, or here are your options. And so this past year reflects a lot of that work that we did together, fostering trust and collaboration and dealing with the fact that things were constantly changing. Really, we've not had a year with more changes than probably this one. In terms of enrollment, that's an important area of work for all of us as well. Developing strategies to help support in the recruitment and retention of students. This year, we produced some really great videos to promote TK Kinder opportunities. Very important to connect with parents of those school-aged children. We also, of course, reached out to the community about our dual immersion programs, the Spanish program and the Vietnamese programs that have evolved over the last few years and are so much more robust and interesting. And there's such an interest in those programs themselves. Social media campaigns are also a big part of what we do. And as you can imagine, in the absence of being at community events or in large public gatherings, we have to rely on technology and social media also to get information out. That's a little bit about those 2 areas. This area I think is really important as well, which is district culture and visibility. Again, in an environment where we haven't had a lot of community events, festivals, and things of that nature, everything that we do for the district in terms of the branding and sharing of what's happening at schools is part of that culture building. This year, if you guys remember, in August, we had the convocation virtually. It was a virtual live stream event that also aimed to bring together staff and create excitement for a new school year because we couldn't gather. And so communications, I would say, has truly been an important lifeline, an important communication strategy for school districts to be able to create community. This past year, we've done so many different things to highlight the best attributes of the district, also showcasing exciting programs. You might have recalled the College Savings Program. That was a beautiful program, and we were able to capture that, promote it in the media, and share it with the community at large. It was something to celebrate. And again, limited to a small group of people who were there, we were able to broadcast that in a much more meaningful way. Lastly, and I mentioned it last, but it also remains a very important part of the work we do, is interaction with the media. Media relations work continues to be a very important focus for us, always being responsive to requests and inquiries that you have from the media, and also managing challenging situations. Sadly, that is just a part of everything and every organization that's out there. We deal with challenges and we work collectively to provide transparent and timely information to our community. So those are the four major themes in terms of the work that we've done this past year. I prepared a lengthy report, which I'm sure you saw in your packets, that cover in great detail newsletters, videos, PSAs, value. And what I'd like to show you next is just a brief video, which will give me a chance to catch my breath. And then I'm happy to answer as many questions as you might have. So with that, if I could have some help, I believe should be, okay, I think I know he. All right. And have implemented a series of measures for the return to in-person instruction based on the California Department.
Hello, Franklin-McKinley community. I am grateful for the tremendous collaboration and support from our students, staff, and families during the school year. De aprendizaje con estudio independiente para aquellos estudiantes con una necesidad identificada para continuar con aprendizaje.
Students return to in-person instruction for a new school year. The district is following safety guidelines provided by public health authorities. Although requirements can keep changing, and open the doors to a brilliant academic journey. For more information, please visit our website or give us a call.
But they also learn all the culture by using Vietnamese language.
Te ayuda a leer los idiomas y puedes ayudar a otros amigos que no saben ni cómo.
Good morning, Franklin-McKinley community. My name is Naimona Absalberta, and I'm honored to be here as board president.
Hello, Franklin-McKinley community. It is an honor to have the opportunity to serve as a member of the Board of Education.
And we're going to deposit $50 into their account from the Excite Foundation to get it started, and then give them opportunities to earn other incentives in the future.
Hi, my name is Guadalupe Rodriguez Quevedo. I'm currently a full-time student at San Jose State University.
Antigen rapid tests went home with students and staff across San Jose's Franklin-McKinley School District Friday.
On the heels of the governor's new plan to move California from pandemic to endemic phase, the San Jose School District is applying lessons it learned from the last long holiday break.
A menudo puede encontrar a Juan Cruz caminando por una de sus escuelas, hablando con estudiantes y maestros. Pero hoy el superintendente del distrito escolar Franklin-McKinley,
AGO 810. Hundreds of San Jose first graders are starting off with $50 in their bank accounts as an incentive to go to college. It's a partnership between the Franklin-McKinley School District.
So with that, I do want to also just, I wanted to express my appreciation to Superintendent Cruz. I know that this past year, he's been so inundated, so busy, but yet he's always made time to make communications a priority. And he's been a tremendous strategic partner in these efforts. In previous years, there was someone else in that role serving as a liaison, and he has done the heavy lifting with us. And so thank you for your partnership. It's been a fun and rewarding ride this past year. And I hope you feel the same.
Okay, do any board members have any questions or comments?
I just want to say thank you for everything you've done to, shed light on what's been going on with COVID and all those things. The public looks to us to see what we're doing. How are we taking care of our kids, our staff, parents out there in the community. So I want to thank you for all those efforts.
It has been an honor. I can say that I have found it to be so rewarding to be on the front lines with you in a way that's been completely different and unique, right? Because I think that, as I said before, we were talking about saving lives and getting people vaccinated and getting people tested. Never have the stakes been higher. So it's been truly an honor for us. And we were very excited to do new and innovative things this year to persuade people to really be safe. And I'm so happy that things are getting back to normal. Hopefully, a little bit better than they are today.
That's true. Thank you, Bert.
Any other questions, board members? Comments?
I'll also just echo, I think this past 2 years especially, I think has really highlighted just how important that communication really is. And so, from the video and just even the report, it's been really clear just the different ways that this partnership really has helped our district get the messaging out for all the different areas that we're trying to hit. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question. I just wondered, first of all, I appreciate all the work you guys have done, all the support. Even after losing our, due to budget cuts, losing Yalitza, you filled in a lot of the gaps that she had filled in before. I wonder how much work do you put into our website and maybe providing some of those videos into our website? Is it maybe one can answer that?
That's we are responsible for the uploading of things to our website. Their main focus is on our social media postings, and so we are going to be working on our website, and there's a lot of updating that needs to be done. So that's our project between now and August, to make sure that gets refreshed.
Okay, so we have a separate website administrator?
Yes. Okay. So each department has a website point person.
Yeah.
To monitor that. It's just not been a priority other than posting all the COVID related things, but we are due for a refresh of our website.
Okay, well, really though, I think our website compared to other school districts is pretty good. So
I mean, there's
as much as we haven't
data,
done, it looks pretty good. In fact, I use our website, and I wanted to give credit to you, Barra, but it sounds like, it looks like our website. I use it as an example to other board members outside of our school district that have asked about it because they like our website.
Yeah, the actual layout and everything that, I agree with you, that was updated, and I'm not, when Yolita was here, and I'm not sure if you were here at that time, but I do know that there's content that we need to refresh, but the actual layout and how we organize the website based on what it used to be is much better. And I see somebody, IT department is helping us with our enrollment center, and actually refresh some of the pictures and the so that they wouldn't stale. But there's some content that we need to update.
I also appreciate through our social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, the main ones, especially on Facebook, the ability to share the post, because I always share the Franklin-McKinley School District. And they're so easy to share because the message is already there. You can include the original message in the share, so you don't have to write anything, you just share it. And that makes it so much better. Do you count those shares into the reach, the total reach?
I believe that number reflects that, yes.
Okay, because I think it says 267.6 million reach.
Yes,
So that's probably.
there's a lot of engagement online for sure.
Yeah, okay, all right, good. Well, I appreciate everything that you've done. And I think that you were very valuable during the COVID pandemic of 2020 and 2021 in the communication of everything that went out because a lot of parents were getting confused. And I think our district experienced a lot of communication. So they were not as confused as other school districts were. So, I mean, we were relatively quiet and, you know, and in PR sense, that's good news, you know, because everyone's getting the information. So I appreciate that as well.
Yeah, the videos help more than obviously, you know, when you get a video and you watch it versus reading, like, what were the procedures for, you know, the first day. And so that's where, you know, we leaned on them to sort of produce these videos that are, you know, much better for our families and our students to sort of understand, you know, what we were going to ask them to do when they came back. So that was very, very helpful.
And one more question, and maybe this to Juan regarding the relationship with Volair. When you get like external press releases that were shared with us, like tonight with ISOM, do you send that to Volair to work it, to send it out to their media?
So that's one of the things that we do on Fridays. And so we meet on Fridays and we sort of lay out what are the short-term and long-term things, and, you know, what are the things that we have to reach out. And so obviously the more that we reach out, you know, whether it's, you know, through the various partners, but certainly, you know, with pitching it to the news, if it's a newsworthy piece, and then obviously posting it on all the various forms of communication that we have, you know, they will send it through Constant Contacts, which, you know, goes out to a different group of people, and that we don't have the ability to do so through our parent, you know, Spare and Square and those kinds of things. And then obviously social media. I can't speak about social media because I don't know social media. So however that gets, you know, reshared and all that is the reach that we have. And so that's what we do on Fridays. We sort of think about what needs to go out and what are the timing of some of these things that go out throughout the year.
Okay, and my last question is in regards to social media. I noticed I think it's could be Facebook, we only have 2,133 followers. What are we doing to increase that? Because we obviously have more people in our community than 2,133 that use social media.
That's a work in progress, I have to say. And, you know, part of it is reaching out to our parent community on a regular basis and just reminding them. I think that's a challenge that we all face. And I think every school district faces that, but I think that more frequent reminders to just be there. You know, every so often we like to send out a communication that says, social media is critical for emergency communications. You have to like us and you have to follow us, because if in the event of an emergency, it's a great place to receive information in a very timely way. And so that's one way that we try to encourage people. And I think we can put that on the docket to include it in the next newsletter, but we do it every fall as well at the beginning of the school year. So it's a work in progress, and it's a tough one. Some people love social media, and then you have parents that aren't on it yet. So it's a work in progress. I agree.
Yeah, I noticed that since July till February, we've only had 1,950 likes on posts that were made, and we made a significant number of posts, the district.
Those are likes to the page, I think, I believe.
Likes to the page?
Yes, I believe those are likes to the page.
Well, if they're likes to the page, then they're also followers.
There's different data points. I don't know why Facebook does this, but they have likes and then they have followers. I don't know why that is, but there's two different data points.
Okay, so what I might recommend, because I am a little bit of I was a social media consultant in marketing, so I might recommend using the tools and the programs that Facebook or Instagram, which is the same company, has to increase the number of followers. Because when you increase the likes, aren't really an important thing. It's the followers, because that's what gets on the news feed or the feed now of Facebook and Instagram for the followers. Is if you use the tools they have to increase the number of followers, then that might help increasing our outreach, our reach And to do that, it might just require just a simple inexpensive ad every once in a while. And you can manage that ad. You can pause it, put it back on, pause, put it back on, and you can even change it. So maybe even doing something like that. Just a little suggestion.
Yeah, that's a
and
great
it might
suggestion.
help. I would like to see our followers increase from 2,133 to 22,133. And that
I
is
like that.
very, very possible because I know some small businesses in this area that have over 20,000 followers on their social media sites.
Let's make it a goal. Let's make it a goal. And I would like to ask for some budget, and we could talk about that separately, Superintendent Cruz, for advertising. I know that the district does spend some money on advertising. And I think that putting some of those dollars towards that would help us get there. So I think that would be great.
Again, social media advertising does not cost that much. It might cost it might be as little as $100 a month. So it's not a big budget. And, it's very inexpensive to increase the social media audience versus doing bus advertising or bus stop advertising or other types of digital marketing.
Yeah, it's definitely more cost effective. Yes.
I wonder how much of that is impacted by the fact that as a parent, I have Parent Square.
I was just going to mention that a lot of our parents rely on Parent Square as the sole source of their information because it is tailored to their school. But I think we can leverage Parent Square to promote the social media and get, we did have I don't remember how long it was, but when we first launched our social media platforms, we did a heavy, join us, on social media. That I think we need to go back to your point and really then increase that. But I think we can leverage Parent Square for sure as the initial push, and that's free to us.
Well, Parent Square is a communication link, a newsletter or a website.
Yeah.
All you have to do is put a QR code of the Instagram page and the Facebook page on those. So when they're reading it, all they have to do is just scan it with their phone and like the page. That's it. It's as simple as that. And even do something as simple as putting the QR code on a sign out in our lobby, because we get a lot of visitors for testing and other things that, all they have to do, you just put a little poster board somewhere outside in the lobby, and all they do is scan it, the QR code, boom, that's how they get their likes.
And in the past, I think we had posters at all the schools. I don't know if they're still up or we need to refresh, but we've done those in the past as well. So that parents visiting the office could see that. So those are all great suggestions. I will take note of them, and those are some great things for us to be able to work on.
Okay, board members, any other questions, comments? No, I would like to say, this is very informational for us to see like a year in review type of up-to-date presentation of where we're at, what we've been doing in the past year, especially with our partnership with Buller. So is this something that we can get agendized one for every year, just so we can see the past year in review, what was done, but our just a quick recap of even our small issues, our big issues, into our highlights and things like that, just so that even board members are just like have a spark in their brain and be like, oh yeah, I remember that happening.
Yeah.
So that would, and thank you for doing that for us, even though we didn't ask for that part, but that would be an awesome video to send to all the board members, just so we can watch it again in our own time.
Absolutely. And I'll send the link as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Perla, for our partnership here.
Oh, Art, my pleasure.
All right. This is an information item only. So again, thank you for the very great presentation, Perla. And we will move on to item 6.03.
All right. Thank you very much.
Which is our notice of public hearing and curriculum material review for 30 days for science K-6, social studies grades 7 and 8, and early learning PK-TK curriculum. And this is a notice of a public hearing, so we'll have a public hearing at the next 30 days from now. I want to use it. No, it's just a notice of a public hearing. So now we will move on to item 7, consent items. And I'm going to read this for all consent items 7, 8, and 9. Members of the public may address the board on consent items before the board's consideration of the items. In accordance with board bylaws 9323, individual remarks will be limited to 3 minutes each unless otherwise stipulated. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to consent items at this time? Seeing none, I'll ask board members now. Is there any items in item 7, 8, or 9 that you would like to pull? Seeing none, then I will accept the motion.
Move to approve consent items 7.01 to 7.03.
Second.
Consent items 7.01 through 7.03 has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That is unanimous. Moving on to consent items 8. Board members?
Move to approve item 8.01.
Second.
Item 8.01 has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That is unanimous. Moving on to construction items, item number 9. Board members?
Move to approve consent item 9.01.
Second.
Item 9.01 has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That is also unanimous. Now we move on to item 10, action items. 10.01, personnel report. Mr. Vice President.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the personnel report be approved as submitted and that the retirement for the following employees be approved. Darlene Chan, teacher, CCA, effective 6/30/22. Antonio Gomez, teacher, Ed Services, 6/17/22. Donna Perello, speech therapist, Franklin, 6/25/22, effective. Nokan Binwin, teacher, Hellier, 6/17/22, effective. Janelle Alves Anderson, teacher, Stonegate, 6/18/22. Nathan Brown, teacher, Sylvandale, 6/30/22. Sukanya Ramachandran, teacher, Sylvandale, 6/30/22. Joanne Chin, director, fiscal services, business, 6/30/22. Otelia Enriquez, executive assistant, conference, business, 6/30/22. Lori Freitas, manager, nutrition, business, 6/30/22. Julie Johnson, executive assistant, conference, HR, 6/30/22. Sandy Gravata, executive assistant to superintendent, superintendent's office, 6/30/22. Elisa Sanchez, food service lead, Santee, 6/18/22. The resignation for the following employees also be approved. Catherine Amaya, secretary, 1, Los Arboles, 3/25/22. Amor Roldan Wiley, or Willie, secretary, 1, Stonegate, 4/1/22.
Second.
Item 10.01 has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. Moving on to item 10.02, the March 8th, 2022 board meeting minutes. I'm going to take a few minutes to review this and I'll take a motion at any time.
President, I move to approve the board meeting minutes of March 8, 2022.
Second.
Item 10.02, the March 8, 2022 board meeting minutes has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 And 1 abstention.
1 abstention. Thank you, Mimona. 401. Moving on to item 10.03, reporting on delegating authority to take the necessary action to protect students and staff from the spread of coronavirus. Superintendent Cruz.
Yes, the only thing I'd like to report out is that at the end of the week is when we had indicated that we would continue to require the use of masks outdoors. And so beginning next week, students and staff will have the option of wearing or not wearing their mask when they're outdoors. We will still continue to require the mask indoors through the month of April, or sooner if conditions are such that we deem it that we could do that earlier or later if conditions require that. So just wanted to make sure that it kind of crept up on me. I was saying we were counting it this afternoon and realized that it's Friday when we had outlined that change. We did receive the allotment of rapid test kits from the state through the county for the spring break. So that just means that we have a lot more now on hand that we can use for rapid testing staff and students, because we had already purchased those for spring break. So obviously this comes in handy for us to be able to better utilize those. And we're continuing to outreach to our families to make sure that they have signed up to participate in our color on-site testing of students. Some schools, if you see the dashboard, have reached 70, 80, 90% of the students participated in our weekly color testing, PCR testing. So we want to make sure that we increase at those schools where that is not the case, and we continue to provide testing here at the district office as well. And then we'll see where other changes we will start to make in regards to the safety measures that we have had in place, and start to be a lot more flexible in some of those items. As those changes are made, obviously, I will let the board know, and then we will always communicate those changes with our staff via the staff bulletin, as we've been doing for over a year now. Open to any questions the board may have.
I have a question, and I don't think there's an answer to it, and I don't know why it just occurred to me. But I have a little one, right? And as they go into an opportunity to take a mask off when they go outside, maybe can be some thought as to how to manage, because if little ones take their mask off, masks all look the same. Like, are they going into their pockets? Are they going at their desk? I'm already thinking like maybe I should put like a little mark of like her initials or put a sticker on it. It doesn't matter to me. I'm just thinking of just kind of like the excitement of taking it off. And of course, children being children, the next thing you know, it's like, oh, I'm going to put on, oh, not my mask up. And, it's not my mask. But like I said, I don't need an answer now. I'm just saying, just food for thought as we get there, we're going to have to navigate that issue.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. I know that our staff, or especially our teachers, are much more in tune with those things. So I had not thought about it because I, don't necessarily have a child that I'm having to worry about. And so I will. We have our roundtable with our administrators on Thursday. So I will make sure that they've thought it through and making sure that they're working with the staff, because you're right. That will happen. And so how we manage that is going to be important. Obviously, we just also got a shipment of child disposable masks. So that's never been an issue about just handing them out, and we'll continue to do that as well. But that's very good point.
I have a suggestion. Well, does it cost that much if we just let them throw it away and then get a new one when they come back in the classroom?
We can, although some students are, choosing to wear their own cloth mask or other type mask. So
well, then they'll know it's theirs.
Yeah.
But I think you were talking about the generic disposable ones.
No, we have plenty of that.
So maybe it might be worth the safety and the health just to let them throw it away and then just get a new one when they come back in the classroom.
And again, we're not saying that. What we're saying also is we are encouraging it. So I think the messaging is going to be very important, that we're highly encouraging. They don't have to, but we still highly encourage them to continue, so that the students are not thinking that we're telling them they can't wear it. So I can tell you that when I spoke with our students at Meadows, many of them said, I'm glad that you guys are saying that we don't have to, because then it'll be our choice. And many of them said they still wanted to wear it. Yeah, but that's a very good point.
And I can tell you as a teacher, we've had to come across that issue because there's snack time and lunchtime where students do have to take off their masks.
Yeah.
And so there's lots of different creative solutions I've seen, from having a little cubby or a designated pencil box or different things, different systems that a lot of different teachers use but good point.
Yes. Teachers are very creative in managing the little ones. I'll just say that for everything. It's just, including mask and hand sanitizer. I mean, they've created an entire system of support for kids. Things that I would not have thought about, for sure. Our staff are very creative. But if I've learned something, it's better to be proactive and just put it out there and not like, oh, we should have thought about this. So thank you for bringing that up.
Okay, board members, any more questions for Juan? Seeing none, then we'll move on to item 10.04, resolution number 2022-12, Dolores Huerta Day.
Yes, thank
Member
you.
of Alberta.
Thank you, President Tran. So this is also an annual resolution that we bring forward, honoring Dolores Huerta and the work that she did and continues to do actually in community organizing. A prominent Mexican-American woman, female leader for labor rights, and known for a lot of things, but among them, co-founding with Cesar Chavez, the United Farm Workers of America. And so I think it's important that our students and community, students, especially in our classrooms, have the opportunity to learn about her. And also, it is Women's History Month. And so being able to also recognize the prominent women who have, well, in her case, really dedicated her entire life to helping support community and workers, especially.
Thank you, Mimona. Board members, questions, comments? I'll take a motion.
Mimona, did you second? Oh, you haven't done the motion yet, right?
Not yet. Go ahead.
Well, okay, I'd like to make the motion. I'd like to make the motion, item 10.04, resolution number 2022-12, Dolores Huerta Day. And that's why I say it's really very appropriate that we honor Dolores because of all the things that Mimona mentioned that she had done and continues to do today, even though, she's getting along in years, but she's still very active. You have to give it to her. She's definitely a very strong woman. And it's good to have the resolution before us this evening. Thank you.
Item 10.04, resolution number 2022-12, Dolores Huerta Day has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. Moving on to item 10.05, resolution number 2022-13, 47th Black April commemoration. So this is a resolution that we bring up annually here. And gosh, what a year we've been through already. So Black April commemoration is there for us to commemorate the 30th of April. That's when the capital of Vietnam fell to communism on that day, causing displacements of millions of Vietnamese families. A lot of lives were lost when they were on a boat escaping a regime that repressed them. Much to what we're seeing in the news today with what's happening in Ukraine and Russia. So with that, I mean, there's just similarities that we wish we did not see that's still happening to this day. And again, we also need to educate and commemorate all the lives that were lost in the past and we are currently going through now. We still have newcomers coming in from Vietnam every year at the school district. And this resolution would make it so that, they don't feel like they're newcomers. that they came to this district for a better life and better opportunity. And that's exactly what the school district is here to shine that light towards them. So with that, that's really all I have to say about this resolution. So board members, do you have any questions, comments on this?
If I could, Board President, so today I met with our team, Amy and Taylor and Becky. And so we've tentatively scheduled a ceremony on April 29th. So if you could, hold that date in that morning. We intend to have our ceremonial rising of the South Vietnamese flag, which is very symbolic and for this particular commemoration, because one of the things that I learned through the just through this process of celebrating or commemorating this day is how important that flag is to our Vietnamese American community, and why we see it flown in every event that they have, which is because that's the flag that was taken down when Saigon fell, and there's a recollection of one of the ships that was fleeing and wanting to dock in a country, but would not let them dock because they were bearing a flag that no longer was recognized as a country. And that's the symbolism of why this flag is so important, and why it needs to be flown, all the time. And so there's a recollection of that flag being taken down from the ship and having to raise the American flag in order to be able to dock in this harbor. So part of this is why we raise the flag, and so we will be raising the flag at Windmill Springs, where our dual language Vietnamese program is. Amy and her team are going to be curating and developing some grade level units in regards to understanding the history of this, and then we will be sharing it district wide. But part of what we want to do is hear student voices of on that day. So please, if you can set, that date as and we'll get the details in the next couple of weeks for you. But that's the plan so far.
Just real quick, George. Do we have another flag for the district too?
So we currently only have one flag, but I plan on buying a second one so that we can fly it here during that month of April. We always fly it for the month, and then we will have it also being flown at Windmill Springs.
Yeah, so it's fine to purchase another flag. Yes, George.
No, what was the date? The date that you mentioned right now?
It's Friday, April 29th.
And it's going to be here.
No, at Windmill Springs.
Oh, Windmill Springs. Okay, that's right.
So
we want to be able to bring student voice and have we'll have some community members there. As safe as we can still do it within the guidelines that we have, but we feel that it's better to do it at the school than just here at the district office. And what place more appropriate than our dual language Vietnamese program? Correct. From that standpoint.
That's great to hear. Thank you for sharing that one.
Really question. Juan, is it possible to see if we can try to get the media out there?
That's part of what,
especially to share our dual immersion program there as well.
That is part of what we plan on sending out the press release and trying to get if it's a slow media day, then they'll show up. If it's not, then we know how it goes. But we'll be working with Valère to be able to create again the story and we can share it out as well.
And then also see if we could do a live feed on our social media platforms as well during the event.
Okay, I'll leave it up to Valère. So we know how to do that.
Okay, so that would also encourage to do some kind of an invite event on our social media so that people will know ahead of time to click.
Yeah.
I mean, we can talk about it more if you'd like to, but there is a way to do that so that people are aware.
I think I'm going to have a tutorial from you on everything social media, because I'll be honest, that's not my thing.
Okay.
Any other questions, board members, on this resolution? If not, I will make a motion to approve item 10.05, resolution number 2022-13, the 47th Black April commemoration.
Second.
Item 10.05 has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That is unanimous. Moving on to item 10.06, resolution number 2022-15, board compensation for a missed meeting, member of Salberta. Juan?
Yes, we bring this forward as board member of Alberta was absent the last board meeting.
Board members, I'll take a motion anytime.
Move to approve resolution 2022-15.
Second.
Item 10.06 has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 I'll abstain.
And one abstention, 401. Thank you. We're moving on to item 10.07, FMEA amendment to their Sunshine Agreement between Franklin-McKinley Franklin-McKinley Education Association and the Franklin-McKinley School District. This is Annette.
EA gives notification to amend their Sunshine proposal dated December 12, 2021, to now include Article 18 teacher rights between FMEA and the district. It's recommended that the Board of Education accept the additional item, teacher rights, FMEA's original Sunshine.
Thank you, Annette. Board members, any questions on this? If not, I'll take a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we approve item 10.07, the FMEA amendment to their Sunshine Agreement.
Second.
Item 10.07, FMEA amendment to their Sunshine Agreement has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That is unanimous. Now moving on to item 10.08, updated job description for Director of Fiscal Services. Annette?
Bring before you tonight job description versus the original job description dated 1988. To updated job description for general recommended that dated director.
Okay, board members, do you have any questions on this? Besides that, yeah, Rudy?
You mean the last job description update was in 1988? I just want to make sure I heard that correctly. Okay.
Have you seen the two differences of the two job descriptions, Rudy? Okay, board members, if there's no more questions, I'll accept the motion.
Move to approve the Director of Fiscal Services updated job description.
Item 10.08 has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that is unanimous. Now we'll move on to item 11, communications from our superintendent. Superintendent Cruz.
Yes, I just wanted to share with the board that on Friday, I was on a panel for the 2022 Santa Clara County Children's Summit held by Kids in Common and facilitated by the county superintendent, Dr. Dewan. The topic was just how resilient our community, our students have been. And so I spoke a little bit about what we've been doing here and supporting our students and our families and just recognizing how, even as difficult as it's been, how resilient our community and our students have been and trying to focus on the positive aspects of just how we've been supporting them. And then this weekend, I will be speaking to a group of potential supporters of the tech and just sharing some of the stories of our students that have participated in the tech challenge over the last couple of years, supported by the tech. And so how our students, some of them have been sparked in terms of their desire to seek careers in STEM, and just, an opportunity for us to highlight the great work that our teachers and our students have been doing with the Tech Challenge, and so being over the last couple of years, to people that we want to support the tech and continue to support the initiatives that our staff and our students benefit from our partnership with the tech. That is it.
Thank you so much, Superintendent Cruz. We'll now move on to item 12, communications from Board of Education. 12.01, board member reports. And today we'll start off with George.
Oh, okay. No, just, we're doing the conference coming up in San Diego. So we had another meeting and we have 4 strands going. It looks pretty good. So we have another meeting set for April 18th in the evening, and then one more, and I think we'll pretty much wrap up things at that point. So it's looking good though, very, very good. And we take a look at the final numbers from San Diego, and it was like 2,700 people attended in person. And then another 2,000 I did it via Zoom, so we did have Zoom also. So worked out good. So I think it's going to be a similar approach this year. That's my report.
Thank you, George. And Mona?
Yeah, so I was able to attend the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, Belonging Committee met last week, I think. We're making good progress on the framework. It's a lot of fine tuning, and so I'm sure we'll be bringing that before the board in the near future. And I also just wanted to extend an invitation. The Santa Clara County Office of Education is hosting Teacher Expedition Night with National Geographic's and Lindblad Expeditions this Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. I am participating as a fellow, as a teacher fellow. And the exciting part, so this is open to all educators, even board members. One lucky attendee will receive exclusive classroom resources, planning support, and the opportunity to choose a dynamic guest speaker for a virtual class visit from National Geographic's and that Lindblad Expeditions partnership. So I wanted to extend that to everyone. To sign up, you go to bit.ly 2021-Grosvenor, GROS, make sure I spell this correctly, GROSVENOR is the registration link for. Let me share that.
Okay, thank you so much, Ramona. Manuel.
Nothing to report. Thank you.
Rudy?
No report.
And I myself have no report as well. So with that, we'll move on to 12.02, agenda item requests. And you can see that there.
I would like to request an update on the district's ethnic studies initiative.
Is there any other agenda item requests, board members? And we'll move on to item 13, future business. There is none. Item 14, future meeting dates. Next meeting is April 12th at open session starts at 8 p.m. We'll have a virtual parent meeting at Los Alamos at 6:30. And you can read the rest on your own. And then we have item 15, closed session. If necessary, we don't have any reason to go back. So I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting at this time.
Second.
There's been a motion to adjourn the meeting and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And we are adjourned at 8:43 p.m.